Now, if you use the social networking site Facebook, you may well have posted things in the past, particularly photographs, that you'd rather not be reminded about.
I should visit your Facebook page more often by the sounds of it. Now it's going to be possible for everyone to see everything you've ever done on the website with the introduction of a profile timeline. It lays out all your publicly viewable messages, photographs and comments by date.
Yes, you're in one of them, actually.
Oh,
this feature will become compulsory for all users over the next few weeks. She's going, oh, what? And we asked if it was a good or a bad thing.
I'm not a big fan of timeline, actually, and I think I'm not entirely sure whether it's because I don't like change on Facebook, or because you can see things for years gone by.
I like the way it looks. I like that you get to have a profile picture and you get to have a cover picture as well.
I don't like it, to be honest. I think it's a bit complex. I prefer the older layout a lot more.
I think it's quite difficult to use. Not as easy to catch up with what friends are doing and read what they've got on their wall.
I don't like all these changes that they're bringing in, so I was like, I'm done with social networking for now.
I think it's a good idea, but I think it's a bad thing to make it compulsory for everyone.
I don't want timeline because it's a bit morbid. It's about, look, it's like almost like an obituary or something, like look at our life, how it was. I want to move with the times, I want to go forward, I don't want to keep looking back.
Well, with us now, technology writer and TV presenter Nikki Moore and social media expert Matt Hodkinson.
hello.
Morning. Dredging up the past electronically. Is it really a good idea?
No, I don't think it is.
Because?
Because, I mean, on Facebook, at the moment, if you've written entries that date back to, say, 4 or 5 years ago, you know that they're safely tucked away, and if people do want to find them, they've got to scroll through older posts. It takes a lot of time, and it's not easy to do. With the new timeline, you're going to have a timeline on the right-hand side of your profile page. It looks completely different, and if people want to access any point of your profile over any year, over any month, it's a simple click. They can go to all your posts and they can see maybe things that you don't want people to see
all
anymore.
Your posts?
Yes, so, unless you've put in your privacy settings, which again people find difficult and fiddly and a lot of hassle.
Right. Matt, for those who don't use Facebook, explain why this matters.
Well, for those who don't use it, I don't think it matters a great deal, clearly, but for Facebook it does, because I mean, it sounds silly to say that they're keeping up with the Joneses to a certain extent, because Google Plus has come along and it's taking quite a lot of market share in the social networking scene. They're getting all the sign-ups at the moment. And so this is Facebook's attempt, I think, to be relevant, to stay relevant, and let's face it, we are documenting our lives in social networks.
Yeah, but this is maybe a bit of an old-fogish question. Well, what is this compulsion for everybody to know everything about everybody else? What is it? What's the point?
I think it's a reflection of how we communicate in life, and Facebook do that best because we want to tell people what we're up to, what our likes and dislikes
Why would
are.
you possibly want to know what I was doing on Facebook 3 years ago?
Because, Bill, you're very interesting. Everybody wants to know what you're doing.
You have no idea how uninteresting
No, but I think it's useful if people have, say, got children here and they've got family abroad and they want to post maybe, photos or updates about what's happening in their family and they don't have email, and it's a good way of staying in contact. But I think with this, it goes back to all the different years, and you can even add stuff from birth, going, to all your years, your childhood, your graduation, and that is just, I mean, it's a bit too much.
If you can put it on there and you know it's a public forum, why get upset when it's shown?
I think that's an important point. I think if you, a good rule of thumb is if you don't want the world to see what you're up to, the last place you want to talk about it is on a social network. I think that the privacy settings are important though, and I think people will have to really take action. When you get timeline and when it is rolled out, you have 7 days to change your settings to make sure that people can't see your past posts that you're not particularly proud of. But yeah, I think if you are ashamed of something, don't show it to the world.
There are things that you might put on when you're 15 which you don't feel so great about when you're 21, but there's also the question of other people's photographs of you which you haven't necessarily given your approval to.
Exactly, which is what Matt was saying. You have to really, really make sure that you've got your privacy settings up to date. And the point with that is a lot of people don't know how to do the privacy settings. The average Facebook user, doesn't maybe know how to change the password. So it's fiddly, it can be complicated, and they don't always make it as easy as it could be. So you really, when you have this 7-day period, you've really got to be on the ball and make sure you get your timeline looking how you want it to look with the posts that you want people to see.
Right, so you've got 7 days to excise everything you don't want on there. And for parents to tell their children that there might not
Absolutely.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
That's another thing, because sometimes future employers will look at what you've written on Facebook, and it might not always.
And actually, going forward as well, by default, your posts will go public to the world. So, so it's best to select next to any post that you want it only to be seen by your friends in future.
But what about, for instance, in theory, that photograph, Matt, that you took of me at a party a few years ago, which was terribly funny at the time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's terribly funny now, but it's in your timeline. There's nothing I can do about it, is there?
No, if you've been tagged in that photo, it would appear in your own timeline.
But if I haven't been tagged, but you can see me in the picture.
Absolutely, it's there for everybody to see.
But you can set settings up for your tags.
Yes.
Which is in a privacy setting, so you can go and say if somebody wants to tag you, you can then you have a view.
Absolutely. So long as they tag you, but
yeah.
you might not have.
And also, a future employer is possibly not going to trawl through all of your friends to see any pictures that they might have taken of you. So it's a long shot.
All right. You'll be starting a new timeline for the new arrival, presumably.
Yeah, in April. Yeah, second one.
All right. Good luck with
that.
Thank you. Don't put all the pictures on.
No, I don't put any baby pictures on. No, I don't do that. Not of my babies. No,
yes, because they'll be very cross when they look at their timeline later. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, BBC News Channel has the latest news from home and abroad.